Hello, welcome to Talk Audio TV. Adam Rayner interviewing Atsuhiro Takeda of Alpine Electronics of UK Limited.
Yes, thank you.
That's the correct term, yes. Of course, filmed on the lovely Sony Handycam.
Yes.
And
if only if we made a camcorder, eh?
hey, then you can sponsor me for that too, like those guys.
We do reversing cameras, but that's no good for this purpose.
Yeah, so unless you want to see me backwards and with parking line. Mind you, I'm big enough to park a coach on. Reason I've got Atsu tucked into this little tiny office and while we're both looking at the camera in this direction is, well, there isn't any room anywhere else. I'm probably the fattest man in the smallest office on the internet, but
joined by the second fattest man. But,
yeah, right. Tell us about your visitors, because you've had people in all the way from Iwaki City and Stuttgart just recently, haven't you?
Not Stuttgart actually.
No?
We had two gentlemen. One was a product chief, and the other one was an engineering chief from Iwaki in Japan, and the other was a senior product manager from Munich.
Gotcha.
And the two from Japan have been travelling in the States, and they went to USA, visited some people there, then went to Munich, trying to remember this now, and then they came to UK, went back to Munich, and then went to France, and then went back to Japan.
So they're globe-trotting on the company, and this is about meeting end users.
That's right. We try to find out really clearly in our minds who our end consumers are, and try to speak to actual users of our products, because it's all very good for people like me giving feedback on what we think about a product, but it's never as accurate as actually meeting and speaking to the actual end consumer.
And I know that there's Talk Audio types looking at this on YouTube and on the Talk Audio website going, ooh, how do I become a person that Alpine comes and visits? How do you actually end up qualifying as a focus group member? How does that happen?
Well, I think this is the first time that Alpine actually have actively spent time trying to meet people, certainly in the UK anyway.
Right.
But if anyone does want to give us feedback, then please by all means email us, or maybe via Facebook. I can't remember the Facebook address, that's a big failure on my part, but
they'll find it.
If you type in Alpine Electronics of UK on Facebook, you'll find our Facebook page, so make sure you like it and send us any feedback, comments.
So first of all, make sure you like it, and then say, oh, by the way, about the tuning or the issue of the triangle words, but not just because you prefer a square button over a round one. Yes, if you've got technical things that you think you can contribute. But that's the whole point. You guys do, you're always striving to be sort of ahead of the curve, and actually that's somebody else. Who uses that?
I don't think we want to mention anything about that.
Anybody
I know who it
slogans.
is, but it's not Alpine.
And again, you were telling me something earlier, which is why I was talking about a different German city. You do have some visitors coming in from Stuttgart, don't you? You did say.
Yes, that's right.
Who
Yes,
are they?
we have a research centre and an office in Stuttgart.
Right.
It's called AOEUR, Alpine Speak. Alpine UK is AOUK, Alpine of UK, and AOEUI is Alpine of Europe Research. And we have engineering team, and they're going to come over next year, I think in February, to do some FM tuner testing. So,
FM?
Yes, FM.
We're all raging about digital, and you've got the Easy Dab, which is one of the most leading edge ones there is, and all that. But FM.
But FM is still important, and of course, there's certain countries in Europe that have still very vague plans on introducing digital radio, and FM is a very important integral part of a head unit.
It is, yes.
And so they'll be coming over to UK to do some testing. Well, you might think, why are we actually sending engineers over here at expense? But the actual characteristics for FM is different in different European countries.
Wow.
I don't know the reasons why, but it seems that you can make a stereo with FM work really well in Germany, bring it over to the UK, and it doesn't actually work so good.
You're saying there was some to do with the difference between multipath.
Well, there's multipath noise interference, which is a big issue in the UK, and in continental Europe. Particularly, they seem to have the FM stations a lot closely stacked together within frequency. Yes. So you have adjacent interference. Was it adjacent station interference? Yes. Anyway, you know what I mean. I hope.
Yes. Do they call that selectivity? Is that selectivity? There's a lot of different ways that radios are described in the way they work. And as you move towards one more sensitive, it was to do with that thing also. I mean, we're here in front of my bench, and there's a lot of bench testing that goes on. But you were explaining to me a crucial difference between bench testing and doing it in a car driving.
Yes, I was, and what I was explaining to you sort of escapes my mind.
It was to do with the actual whole point about stereo separation.
Right,
how it can sound lovely on a bench, LAR and stereo, but if you drive around with it,
that's right. So a car environment is so different to a bench environment.
Yes.
So what works on a bench doesn't necessarily work as you travel in a vehicle, and so sometimes you can see specifications that look fantastic on
Yes.
a piece of paper, and yet because it's not optimized for use in car, when you use it in the vehicle, it becomes a very compromised product.
So the whole car issue is, it really
Yeah.
is, it's about not just the stereo separation being all very well, but because I know that ones, when you buy a car with the radio in, it never loses the signal, but they sound flat and boring and tedious because
That's
it's
right.
about holding onto the signal rather than worrying about you balancing that a lot more finely than
That's right. That's right.
an OEM, as it were.
And so you have that situation with: do you want it to sound very flat and boring but no noise, or do you want it to sound open, clear, crisp, but with lots of noise? And you have to find that compromise somewhere.
Yes.
And of course, the more expensive components you use, the better you can find that compromise. But then, of course, the consumer is always
Yes.
seeking to find or wants a product that costs less.
Yes.
And so we have to try and jiggle that balance really, and to try and find to
best
try and
solution
get
in the
the
middle.
optimum out of a component, the maximum performance from a component that's selected.
And after all, even though we are in the era of digital radio and talking about it eventually, the FM eventually being switched off, the fact is that the whole industry is still very much described as car radio, and whatever else the machine does with USB, iPod, Bluetooth, Android, whatever, they're still called, the basic machine is described as a radio. And in the meanwhile, it's good to know that Alpine care about us limeys here and how well our FM works as well as being leading edge in the DAB digital radio scene. So
Well, strangely enough, just one point to mention is that the reason why they come to the UK
Uh-huh.
is that we did have some strong customer feedback several years ago about FM performance, which led to investing in people actually coming over to the UK to do road tests over here.
wow, that's amazing. It's I really should get off my tuchus and burn some more petrol testing radios, but then I might have to charge more for advertising. Different issue, but no, that's interesting stuff, and it's lovely to know that you guys are still flying people around the planet to make sure that us limeys are looked after as well as we possibly can be by Alpine's technologists. Atsu, thank you so very much.
So
That's,
thank you, Adam.
Interesting stuff. Mr. Atsuhiro, Takeda, Alpine, and Adam Rayner signing out for Talk Audio TV.